back here on the program, Jones and Company, speaking with Godfrey Enos, today Dr. Monica Davis and Dr. Isaac Bekele. And Mr. Bekele, at the break, you wanted to make some points with respect to marketing?
Yeah, well, the thing is, you look at the farm sizes of the Caribbean. Mm. The average size is about 1.5 acres. The sustainability of those farms in terms of providing reliable and sufficient income for the families is doubtful, because families' aspirations rise and grow. The incomes from those farms are not potentially going to be much different from last year. Those farms are not going to be there for years. They're going to die, because the next generation is not going to go back and use that farm. So the farming in the Caribbean is sort of at crossroads.
At a crossroads?
At a crossroads. You can see that at the average age of farmers. The farmers' average age every year increases.
They're getting older.
Yeah, in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s.
Yeah. Same thing in the Bahamas, right?
Over 65.
Right.
Over 65 in
so
the
there is going to be a fundamental structural change, because while those small family farms disappear over time, then something else has to replace that small family farms. We can try to shape its replacement, or we can leave it to chance. While people are talking about food and nutritional security, there is also a big effort on value chain issues. Value chain issues are, we utilize our agricultural products at different levels, from fresh produce to semi-processing to processed things and so on. Mm-hmm. That issue is very high on the agenda of the Caribbean. International organizations are working on it. The European Union has been working through its EDF funds, providing support to value chain issues. So value chain, if the concept is understood properly, and if countries and business sector really understands the role of that value chain and goes into value chain activities, in other words, you take sweet potato and process it into various products. You take cassava and process it into various products. Cassava has a little age, because they are converting it into flour, for example. So the storage issue is resolved. You cannot keep cassava as it is for any extended period of time, but you can the flour. You can move it further, right? You can sell it further, right? So those things, I think, in the medium term to long term, are going to be critical for the development of agriculture in the Caribbean region, because any fresh products they cannot sell, they can process it.
Yeah, but don't we have different problems in the Bahamas from you have down south in St. Vincent or St. Lucia or places such? Right. Because we are next door to America. It's a hop, step, and drop.
A large market.
Yes, a large market.
Yeah.
And there are some people who believe that in terms of feasibility, that it's just easier to buy these goods in Florida. These whatever you're talking about. It's just easier to get them in Florida.
Well, that's not the debate here is not about that, about people's choice. People can choose what they want. That's their right. We're not talking about the choice.
But we're talking about sustainability.
No, we are talking about providing people choices. We are not talking about people not having choices. We are talking about people having choices. The sustainability issue, we discussed about that, right? When times are good, it's sustainable. When times are not good, it's not sustainable. Let me tell you something. During the 9/11. Many of the Caribbean islands couldn't get rice. There was no rice. What is sustainable about that?
People eat too much rice.
Guyana produces rice. Guyana's rice was not available for the Caribbean neighbors.
No trade.
Because somebody else was giving higher price to the Caribbean, to the Guyanese rice. So what is sustainability about that? The issue is, if countries don't have basic capacity to produce basic food, then when problem comes, they will be hungry.
Well, I hear you, but you see, there is a mentality in this part of the Caribbean, closest to America, that you will always be able to get goods out of America. That is a mentality. Let's face the reality. We don't look south for potatoes or for fruits and vegetables. Well, we don't look south. We look north.
There is a correction there.
Yes.
The same attitude prevails in Trinidad. We look north. We get our steaks from there. We take our lettuces from there. We get our vegetables from there. On a daily basis, that's what we consume. All right?
In Trinidad, you look north for lettuce?
Yeah.
I am telling you.
It's a food deficit region. It's a food deficit country.
Not only that, it's appearance as well. The fancy lettuce looks a lot more appealing to people than the lettuce that looks like you dig it out of the ground.
We do that. We go to supermarkets.
It's true.
We go to super. It's not really much different, except you have not been further south and taken a sample of people's
People buy more apples, pears, and grapes than they do oranges, lemons.
Good. So
there is one difference.
How can you disabuse people of that of the notion that
it's better up north?
By
producing stuff at the Institute. I tasted the pawpaw yesterday. It was delicious. And the two varieties that they're producing, wonderful. The bananas are being harvested next week. I feel to come back next week and have some.
You know what has impressed them most? Tell them what has impressed them most. When you went to Andrews. You talk about the soil.
Yeah,
you talk about the climate.
Actually, the soil is beautiful.
The papaya.
You should go and touch that soil.
The soil, the climate, the water resources.
I saw a goat, right? Feeding on bush.
Yeah.
Nothing else, bush.
Right.
I never saw a fat goat like that in my entire life.
Okay.
Goat is looking good.
You know where we get our goat meat in Trinidad? From New Zealand.
You get goat meat in the Bahamas from New Zealand too.
You see?
Not for long.
Well, what he is saying is that, right, with transportation, we could grow as much goats as we wish, and there's a market in Trinidad. It's a market.
Curried goat.
And you have to worry about
proper transportation.
Right,
if
proper
it can freeze from New Zealand to here, it can freeze from...
The other thing is the whole issue of carbon footprint. We have to be responsible about that. Why should I bring a goat? Heaven knows how long it has been frozen from New Zealand all the way to Trinidad. When I can take a carcass from here to Trinidad. There are benefits of enormous proportions, right? Buying from Florida instead of buying from New Zealand, it's a hell of a thing. The difference is significant, highly significant in the age of climate change, in the age of global warming. So carbon footprint is also important, that you buy from your neighbors, all right? And the closest neighbor is your own farmer neighbor there.
Anyway, we've had a Buy Bahamian campaign in this country some time ago. Mr. Enos, you know it. And the story is told of a farmer who had to send his produce to Florida in order for it to come back to the Bahamas, for it to be acceptable in the Bahamas. Mr. Enos, Dr. Bekele, Dr. Davis, that is the mentality that we have to fight, Mr. Enos. You agree?
That's part of the story.
That's part of the story.
That's part of the story.
Okay.
But let me say this much.
You have 30 seconds.
Let me say this much, right? I have told, and he knows it, I told policy makers in the Caribbean, I disagree with the Jack Dale initiative.
Okay.
The Jack Dale initiative is a Caribbean-wide initiative. You know why I disagree with it? Because it doesn't suit the Bahamas, right?
The Jack Dale?
Yeah.
What is that initiative?
That's a CARICOM initiative on agriculture,
agricultural
right?
development.
I disagree with it.
Okay.
Because it doesn't factor in the potential that we have here.
Okay. But we don't have time to go into the Jack Dale initiative. You spent most of your time rowing me, right? But anyway.
No, I spent most of my time trying to explain you.
Thank you so very much for being here today. And perhaps we should have a camera in the classroom in Andros.
You know something?
We'll have the camera in the classroom in Andros, yes?
We were better last week, you know.
I think so. You row too much.
It's just being him.
Yeah.
No, you guys cut on our time.
Yes.
This is unacceptable.
Yes, blame him. I apologize for him.
Yeah, no.
All right. Thank you so very much for being here
thanks,
today.
Mr. Jones. The thing is, do you know, Bahamas was one of the largest citrus exporters?
Back then?
Back then.
Yes, back then.
But nothing has changed except our attitude.
Absolutely. That is what I'm talking about, the attitude.
Yeah.
So thank you so very much, ma'am.
Always a pleasure.
It's nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for...
Thank you, Godfrey Enius.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching and listening to our program today. Good evening, everyone.